Well, when I went to my first triathlon at Noosa, they had a professional field race, and I didn't really know many of the names, but I could see that there were people who competed and did this for a living. And then I heard that they had the potential to go to the Olympics because they had just been included in the Sydney 2000. And for me, I wasn't really, I knew my swimmers, I knew my Susie O'Neills, my Hayley Lewis, they were my idols. And so I didn't really have an idol straight up that I knew of, but then as I was in the sport a little bit more, I became more aware of the names that had gone before me, like the McKeely Jones, the Loretta Harrop, the Emma Carneys, the Jackie Gallaghers, and these were all people that, as really, again, lucky timing, they'd gone 1 to 5 in a world championship. And for me, I thought, oh gosh, I've got a lot to live up to if I want to take on this sport. We've got the 5 best in the world just from Australia. And for me, I really started to look at, I guess our country as a whole and how competitive we were. And I really felt I wanted to be a part of that at some point. And fortunately enough, I actually got to just compete with some of those athletes. And I was told by, coaches very early on to watch them, observe them. And if I ever got the opportunity to be in the same race as them, copy them, just mark them and just make sure you're their shadow. And that was really the biggest way for me to learn. And it was a great way. When I really sort of had set my mind, actually at the age of 7, that I wanted to go to the Olympics for swimming, I had that Olympic dream from a very young age. It wasn't until I actually went to the Sydney Olympics, and I remember meeting Loretta Harrop right before the race, and she was down near the race site, and she was in her jersey and in her Australian kit, and obviously the city was alive, and Olympic Games in Australia was just the most amazing experience for me. But then to see a real person that I knew was going to be competing and following, it just really made it real for me. It really cemented the fact that it's tangible, and I really was like, oh, maybe I do want to go. Maybe I want to be like her. Maybe I want to go and do triathlon on the Olympic stage. And that was where my seed was sown, where I wanted to go, my trajectory is changing, and I'm going to want to go to the Olympics for triathlon instead. Results early on for me in triathlon were not really something I was focused on because I was very new, but I was somewhat late to the sport considering my age. I was just really about trying to get experience and just wanting to race people. And obviously I loved the race environment. And results actually came relatively quickly if I think back. But at the time I wasn't really thinking about it. I wasn't focused on a particular result. So I got to compete in my first World Championships as a junior athlete in 2000 in Perth. And for me, I was just thrilled at the opportunity that I was going to be competing for Australia. All these people were coming from all over the world. And it was the first time I had that place to say, oh, I'm up against international competition. What do the rest of the athletes my age do around the world? And for me, I won my age group. And like I said, I didn't have a goal to go out and win it. I just went out and wanted to have the best race I could. And from there on, that made that I could get selected into a couple of development programs. And then I was fortunate enough to compete in the first ever Youth Olympic Festival Games at Penrith. And for me, the same thing. It was this, huge event, international athletes, and I came away winning that quite to my bewilderment. I just was out there to race. And I have to admit that it really did take some time for it to sink in what I was achieving, because I was just so in love with the sport and I was just having such a great time doing it. I wasn't really ever thinking about the results. I was just always thinking about, what's my next race? How do I get better? Because I was so new, I felt like I had so much improvement. And for me, that was probably the best time in my career.